Good evening, I'm your host Jack Remington of Jack Remington Political Analyst. Today's video, Epstein's suicide is more believable than this Biden crap show put on by Elites R Us Incorporated. Today is November 14th, 11 days after the National Day set aside for our biggest civil duty guaranteed by the United States Constitution, the quadrennial general election. Remember Smoking Joe Frazier? He was the heavyweight champion, the boxing champion, that knocked Muhammad Ali on his ass in that 15th round of that classic fight in 1971. Joe Frazier voted in this election in his home state of Pennsylvania, in the city of Philadelphia. Say it ain't so, Joe. Smoking Joe was from Philly, like we just said, the only state in the United States where the NFL franchise, the Philadelphia Eagles, had a full basement jail with a service jail with cops and a judge with clerks and a cafeteria. For its, well, let's not be too harsh here. Let's call these people them, quote, passionate beer drinkers, end of quote, for lack of a better group name and time constraints on my part. Just 20 miles northeast in New Jersey, this past June of this year, these four clowns were busted for ballot stuffing. And the last report I got is as of November 5th, one of them got jail time. And the Democrats, they insist there's nothing to see here. Don't worry. These same Democrats who swear on your grandkids' lives that there was no such thing as voter fraud, yet the same people are still claiming and screaming that some Russians fixed the 2016 election for Donald Trump versus Hillary Clinton with no proof. Yet no Russians were caught dumping boxes of Trump ballots at 4 a.m. like we know what happened in Detroit, Michigan by apparent Biden supporters. Trunk votes are the boxes seen unloaded at contested election docks. You would think that with these trunk votes that Trump would have more votes than Hillary if he really didn't have those Russian trunk votes. But he didn't. He lost a popular vote, and that's what they're crying about. And Hillary is still crying to this day. And Michigan County had this 6,000 ballot reversal in one county, and then they call it a computer glitch. They were all for Joe Biden. Another Michigan county had 846 verified deceased voters, and that was as of November 5th. No explanation. Maybe if we stick our heads in the sand, all this will go away forever, and that we didn't really see this. Maybe we're imagining things. The same great state of Michigan, 138,000 vote dump at 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 100% of the entire vote dump was for Joe Biden. Not one for Donald Trump. I got a casino tip for you, Democrats. Make it look good. Throw in a Donald Trump ballot every 10th ballot, and that way, if you're giving the illusion that the customer has a chance, they might stay up all night if they're having a good time. They'll keep chasing. Let your kids beat you at checkers once in a while, too. It keeps it real. It keeps it interesting. Come on, man, you know the thing. It took the mainstream media 10 full calendar days to tell the counter-narrative that Joe Biden did not get those favorable but illegal votes. They just outright deny it. Oh, still in the great state of Michigan, where some radical extremists, 13 of them to be exact, they were disguised as Donald Trump's white supremacy nationalists, tried to kidnap the attractive but deadly Governor Gretchen Whitmer. That state. We have, at last count, just over 10,000 dead people voting in Michigan, and that was information as of November 6th. People were getting search results on the Michigan State vote site, but then our lovely Gretchen ordered the site to be shuttered. No explanation was given. Yet this same Gretchen, she also ordered her state police in Michigan to ticket restaurant patrons that are not wearing the mask. No, not the Jim Carrey mask either. Don't worry, Goebbels Gretchen. Jeffrey Epstein did not vote in your state. You are 3 decades too young for his taste in young girls. How about John McCain's state, or his carpetbag state, Arizona? Fox News called Arizona for Biden, with only 70% precincts reporting, but refused to call North Carolina for Donald Trump with 95% reporting and a seemingly unsurmountable lead for Joe Biden to overcome in that state of North Carolina. But let's not pick on Fox News and single them out. We wouldn't do that, would we? All the networks did the same type of reporting. It's just that Fox News broke the ice via the state of Arizona. But I thought Fox News was pro-Donald Trump. But when they hired Donna Brazile last year and Paul Ryan, that tells you everything you need to know about the direction, cough, cough, I'm sellout, cough news, cough, Fox News sold his soul for. Sellout. Rupert Murdoch put his sons in charge of the media outlets. One of Murdoch's daughter-in-law was called on the hot mic, quotes, "We finally got rid of Donald Trump," end quote. And firing Judge Jeanine Pirro last week was also telling. You remember Judge Pirro's crime. She prepped a 10-minute segment that dreads up the nightmarish 2016 election I keep referring to. And that nightmare was for the female candidate, Hillary Clinton, of having lost her rigged election. Still in John McCain's great state of Arizona, the poll workers gave the in-person voters Sharpie markers to mark their ballots. The Sharpie markers cannot be picked up by the scanning counters. An estimated 300,000 votes have been deemed invalid because of this deceit. I can guess safely that in Arizona, the majority of the in-person voters are 83% Donald Trump. Speaking of this first son-elect, has anyone seen Hunter Biden in the last 40 calendar days? I'm being serious. I'm not making a joke of this. Has anyone seen him? He's gone into hiding, hasn't he? I can't imagine a smiling China Joe Biden avoiding eye contact with Xi Jinping of China, but catches Hunter jumping in the crowd during Two-Finger Joe's inaugural swearing-in ceremony in January. I wonder if Hunter Biden bought the George Floyd signed specialty crack pipe edition off of eBay. How much is George Floyd's signature worth these days? Didn't he have a 50,000 gold-plated casket for 5 funerals? Oops. I just need to figure out if Sleepy China Joe will let Hunter Biden sleep it off in the Lincoln bedroom. You know, Bill Clinton used to rent out the Lincoln bedroom. Well, it wasn't for sale from those years, from 1993 to the year 2001. Maybe Hunter Biden could pay Corn Pop back with another China deal. Nuclear Secrets or the Blue Light Special. Come on, man. You know the things. Speaking of the Jimmy Carter home state of Georgia, also known as the Peach State, President Trump had a huge lead, 800,000 vote lead, with 95% reporting. But, as typical of this election, Joe Biden somehow, some way, caught Donald Trump and passed him with more votes than projected that could be possibly tabulated with 98% reporting in several of those counties. In other words, more votes than registered voters. In the 2 sister states that are traditionally red states like Georgia, and the 2 states are South Carolina and Florida, they both had all their voting tabulations done ahead of time. No problems. And the state of Florida had over 11 million votes to process. Even this lady, look at the screen here, Brenda Snipes, could at least kept on the schedule by shredding ballots if necessary. Not one pundit on YouTube, not one, has pointed out that Stacey Abrams of Georgia fame, or in my opinion, infamy, might have had a hand with some of the shenanigans in the Dukes of Hazzard state, the state of Georgia. Stacey Abrams did run a hard, on-the-ground grassroots campaign for governor of Georgia, but fell short 58,000 some votes. She yells and she refused to concede, but she cried that her opponent tweeted that the Black Panthers endorsed her. But guess what? The Black Panthers did endorse her. Oops. Anyone here thinks the Black Panthers wanted to endorse Brian Kemp, the whitest ghost-like man since Ronald Reagan's Secretary of Defense, Caspar Weinberger? Notice the Weinberger's name, Caspar, the white friendly ghost. Do you really think the Black Panthers were going to endorse him instead of Stacey Abrams, who's black? And she got the Georgia Department of Justice to investigate. They even gave her back 5,700 votes, all in her favor that she questioned. But it still wasn't enough. She still lost by 55,000 votes. Stacey Abrams, she refused to concede. But now she bashes Donald Trump for acting like she did when she underestimated Brian Kemp, for also putting out a great get-out-the-vote campaign. You know, blacks aren't the only one that had the patent on that. Now, Stacey Abrams says that there is no such thing as voter fraud. Wow. Affidavits galore accumulated by investigators, including the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI. And the FBI has something unique in its arsenal to solve crimes. If you lie to the FBI, no matter how minor or irrelevant, you can spend years in the hoosgow, as lying to the FBI is a felony, a federal crime. RICO statutes get incurred, and you can do 35 with no parole, easy. So that sounds encouraging to us Trump supporters, right? Sorry, folks. You can be more wrong than Michael Jackson trying to get out of Boys Town. Watch, not one person is going to go to jail over the stolen election. Not one. Not one. You don't believe me, do you? Why? Even if the pesky President Trump produces concrete evidence of voter fraud, the deep state will make sure that Donald Trump either loses all the recounts or they won't recognize the blatant fraud as evidence of a massive conspiracy. Don't just outright deny it. Donald Trump has to go, don't you know? The Democrats went to court this past May, June, July to get anything goes voting. No state stamps, no matching signatures, extra days to sit in their storage bins until they decided they needed those ballots. And guess what? They needed those ballots right around 11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time when Donald Trump was in a position to put Sleepy Joe away. He was winning 7 of the 8 states we're talking about. The then voting stopped when no one knew what happened. Even the TV hacks couldn't explain it. But someone somewhere was coordinating with different operatives in 7 of the 8 remaining states, including Alaska, and it started the trunk ballots. They're all for Joe Biden. Michigan, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Alaska for sure, and ineligible voters in Nevada. All those Californians who have a Vegas condo voted in the state of Nevada that night, and some were caught and were thrown out to their credit. But an estimated 25,000 ballots somehow made it past the first stage. 5 of the 7 states still have not been called by the Federal Election Commission, and they're up for grabs. They have a Democrat governor. But this is what I'm really watching pretty close for any day to strike down. Donald Trump lawyers are going to lose the suits in Pennsylvania, where the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania ruled 4-3 against all ballots, no stamp, late, undated, backdated, unsigned, no signature match, no required. Pennsylvania is the big prize with 20 electoral votes and would turn the tide and get Kamala Harris's panties in the shape of William Brown's bald head. Donald Trump if he can win Georgia and Pennsylvania, he gets 269 and it'll go to House of Representatives. Is President Trump right with his claims of voter fraud? Would the Democrats be so desperate? I want you to think about when I'm asking these questions here. The Democrats would never cheat, would they? They seemed so nice when I met them at Pasadena, California Politicon back in 2016 and 2017. They seemed so nice to me. But they kept laughing at me when I was trying to change that flat tire I had. Not one of those 6'5", 30-year-old military-aged men, Democrats, offered to help me. Maybe they were just too preoccupied and weakened by their laughing. Could the Democrats have had a 2,000-person operation of this magnitude and 7 of the 8 different states have not been called? If so, what is the rationale? I'm asking you, what is the rationale? Why would they do this? The ends justifies the means, they keep saying. Orange man bad. Matters not that quid pro quo Joe couldn't fill a Warner Brothers for the phone booth set aside for Superman to change clothes. And Donald Trump's smallest rally was 16,000 people in the rainstorm in Tennessee. Come on, man. Make this look good. In Arizona, they can blame the Navajo Indian and Latino turnout. Check. In the Keystone state of Pennsylvania, they can sneak in the mail-in ballots despite being backdated thanks to their biased Supreme Court. Check. At 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, sneak in his ballot dump of 138,000, all for Joe Biden. Everyone went to bed. They won't notice. Check. In the silver state of Nevada, tell your poll workers and poll watchers to let people sign up and vote. Same-day registration. Oops! Except Nevada has a 3-day requirement and an affidavit system. Hey, everyone should have their voice heard, right? Get out to vote. That's been the mantra since Bill Clinton was motor voter in 1993. Come on, man. No one's really paying attention. Even those 28,000 Californians who have condos and were gambling in the state of Nevada. Check. In Wisconsin, the same playbook as Michigan. Vote dump at 4 a.m. No one cares. No one's watching. Send home the poll watchers. They won't tell all of us, will they? Check. Back to the Keystone state of Pennsylvania. Board up the windows. Throw out the poll watchers. It's cold anyway. Go home. Get some hot chocolate and go to bed. We're stopping the counting for now. Why, you dare ask us? Who do you think you are for asking us? Because we just are. Don't ask questions, peons. Just go home. And don't tell on us. Don't be taking these photos and getting the affidavits for the FBI. Don't look at our cemetery inventory for kids' names, because we have run out of adult names and we have writer's block and time's of the essence. My father has a signed boxing glove set signed by Joe Frazier he gave me. Check. Back to the peach state of Georgia. A water pipe busted, so we had to stop counting. Couldn't you tell who the plumber outfit was that stopped that bad water? And they saved the day, all those carefully legit votes from getting wet. Those trunk votes, I must say. But we needed to stop counting because the other states stopped counting. No, the rumor of Stacey Abrams eating 200,000 ballots is not true. You believe us, right? Check. This time nothing could be left to chance. Boxes upon boxes were prepped weeks in advance. The COVID-19 was the excuse to allow absentee ballots and no questions asked mail-in voting. The printing presses started anyway, the very day Nancy Pelosi got that passed. Software obtained by CIA contractors and was used in 7 of the 8 states we're discussing here that are now being contested by that mean man Trump. Who does he think he is contesting this election? Once it was seen that Donald Trump clobbered it in Florida by a landslide, Ohio and Texas decisively, then the plan was put into place. Risk? What risk? The entire government wants Donald Trump gone, don't you know? Notice how silent 95% of the Republicans were, up until a couple of days ago. Now they're all coming out of the woodwork, especially led by Mitt Romney. They want Donald Trump to concede. But Donald Trump is well within his rights. He has a narrow path to get to this election, 269 electoral votes to 269 for Joe Biden, but he needs Georgia and Pennsylvania for sure, or a combination of Georgia, Wisconsin, and Arizona. That would send the election to the House of Representatives. Each state gets one vote. Trump did win more states than Joe Biden, so it appears that Donald Trump would win that vote in the House of Representatives. 33 votes to 17 votes. But don't forget, D.C., the swamp, needs Donald Trump gone. What do they get with Joe Biden? They get a great chance to really bankrupt this country by going back to Treasury, going back to the Federal Reserve, going back to the printing presses and borrow more stimulus money. Remember, Joe Biden's boss, Bathhouse Barry, got the country's deficit to over $10 trillion on top of the then $12 trillion of our deficit to bail out the banks. The banks were too big to fail. Trump himself has added $4 trillion, but we will never get this deficit paid down because we're all drunk on power at the Fort Knox fire sale, aren't we? With Donald Trump finally gone, it will be back to business as usual. Donald Trump even clamped down on the waste, fraud, and abuse in the Department of Defense. And there's a lot of pissed off contractors that can't pad their nests and can't get more contracts because this big, bad, mean tweeter-in-chief, Orange Man Bad, took care of your tax dollars. And not one thanks for Donald Trump for the good that he did do. God help you if you think Joe Biden can't be bought. His running mate is worse than he is. Watch and see. You'll have 4 years to watch this storm show here. I can't say what it really is. My wife's watching me. The world leaders are reaching out to Joe Biden and are rooting for Joe Biden to hang on against Donald Trump's vote recounts. Why are the citizens of China dancing in the streets now 12 days in a row, celebrating Joe Biden's apparent win? Why? Because China can go back to full court press, stealing our secrets, our trade secrets, espionage, you name it. The DC swamp fought back hard against a one-man crusader who was a total outsider with no political experience, and he beat them at their own game, didn't he? I want you to think about this. Including the Senate and the House, there's 530 executive and congresspersons, 50 governors, 250 state legislatures, and independent mavericks, and not one of them could counter Trump's slogan, "Make America Great Again." Not one. They were all professional politicians. What was Donald Trump? He was a businessman, a showman. Combine that innate and even uncanny instinct that this non-politician won a term as president and nearly slain the swamp. It was the mainstream media that ultimately saved the day in overtime for your swamp. They attacked Donald Trump 24/7, 365 for 5 years, and his following took its toll. You would think that Americans would love this truly tragic hero such as Donald John Trump, who lost $1.5 billion personally of his businesses in trust during his presidency. And now for what? To get kicked out unceremoniously on his head by the sloppiest, dirtiest, meanest, most blatant thievery of election of the ages? Do you really think that the Supreme Court of the United States, or it's called SCOTUS is the acronym, do you really think SCOTUS will save Donald Trump despite him appointing a third of that court? They will rule against Donald Trump. Really? Yes, they will. Why? They have been given their marching orders by the big donors, big ag, big pharma, big manufacturing, big defense, Wall Street, the plane makers, the big bankers, the usual suspects, who are the de facto monarchs of this dying constitutional republic. Notice how all the other countries are lining up and they're licking Biden's balls. They're going to get their way again. And they're going to get us to pay for their defense once more. You, the taxpayer, will be footing that bill for the defenses of their countries. And and they hate your American asses. Back to business, as usual. That's what they want. Joe Biden's going to open the borders, allowing scores more of poor people in this country who also hate your American asses and totally disrespect your laws, and they disrespect you as citizens because you are too stupid and weak by voting in these clowns like the Squad, who all four won their respective elections, by the way. Donald Trump, he beat them all to a degree for 4 long years. He outsmarted them at their own game. Survived an impeachment based on nothing, Russia lies, and on their own playground. That in itself made it be the biggest crime Trump committed against the swamp. He beat them at their own game. They hate him for that. Donald Trump stopped business as usual. Back to this contested election for a bit. There is not one doubt, not one iota of a shred of doubt in my mind that malfeasance of extreme magnitude of every stripe was employed by the deep state to rig this election. And rig it they did. I even warned you. Notice the description of these screenshots I'm putting up here, and they have not been edited or would say so. The Democrats had the fixers in place, what we call fixers, in place in these 8 states. And when it looked like Donald Trump was still going to win, despite the fraud in Arizona and Wisconsin, Plan B was administered. And they were so desperate they even threw caution to the wind. Numerous affidavits are in 3 states, and they have cell phone videos and shows those trunk ballots being put on the back docks of some of these contested states, especially Michigan and Pennsylvania. Some of these criminals put the phone videos on their Facebook pages, bragging how Trump had ballots torn up Nancy Pelosi style. Watch this clip here.
Some of you guys know I work at the vote ballots, which means we get your votes and we separate them. So if some of these votes happen to say, like this one, Donald J. Dumb Trump, that one just don't make it towards the mail.
Wouldn't that be great if the FBI could get that guy to sing and prosecute the whole slew of dominoes rolling down? And if this guy said he got the idea from Speaker Nancy Pelosi at that State of the Union address, wouldn't it be great if they could arrest her too? I don't recall the mainstream media pounding Al Gore when he contested Florida back in the year 2000. We didn't know who the president was because Florida was within 547 votes. And Al Gore took 38 days. We survived that. For the country's sake, the fraud must be dealt with. We may as well just admit right now that we are the continent's bananas republic. They can't grow bananas naturally. Stay tuned for the next video. Thank you. I got to go. Have a great day. Always a great day to be an American. Always a great day to be an American. Thank you.